Hi everyone and welcome back to SwitchUp. As always, you can save 10% on any of your eShop games by buying your vouchers over at switchup.gg and using code SwitchUp. If you're a physical collector, we've got links for PlayAsia if you want to save 5% over there. And a hello and salute to our 6 channel members. I know it might not sound like a lot, but we appreciate each and every one of you. Here's your names. This week we've got an eclectic mix of games and some that have never been on sale. Let me know what you've been playing. I just finished Cyberpunk and it was quite honestly enjoyable. I'm also slowly but steadily working my way through Persona 5 Royal, which so far is a sublime game and does a very good job of instantly hooking you into all of these characters. Alright then, what are the 10 best games on sale at the moment according to, me? Well, let's find out. First up then, and one that hasn't been on sale, I've been keeping my beady eyes on it, hasn't been on sale for a long time, and this is its cheapest ever, it's the Mummy Demastered. Forget the terrible film with Tom Cruise, this is an excellent Metroidvania from way forward. It's a measly 785 megabytes, and it flew under the radar of just about everyone, including myself, until Glen mentioned that he picked it up and was loving it. Now it has that 16-bit retro style, but it has an excellent soundtrack, and it's also filled with hidden items to find. Now this has been my own personal pickup of the week, and after about an hour, I think I can safely say that I'm going to enjoy, well, every hour of it. Compared to Persona, this is literally like the blink of an eye. It's about a 5 or 6 hour long game, and that sale goes on until November the 2nd. Thanks to Raid for sponsoring this episode. It was one of the first games to bring a console-level experience to mobile phones, with hundreds of equipable artifacts and over 600 different champions. It means you can build your own team and then go on your raids in the way that you choose. What I like about Raid is how easy it is to join a clan. It means when I'm stuck waiting on the train, my clan and I can take down some of the bosses. There are some pretty sweet ones, including the Skull-Crowned Spider and this giant Minotaur. As with any good RPG, the role you play within your clan is up to you. You might choose Archmage Helmet with his variety of spells, but I'm more drawn to Judge with his giant serrated blade. Either way, there are lots of choices and it's well worth joining a clan as it changes the experience entirely.
Raid is running a trick or treat promotion for Halloween. You can win a bunch of real life and in-game prizes, including $1,000 of Amazon gift cards and some of the best epic and legendary Halloween champions. It's free to enter, you'll need your Raid player ID, download using our link in the description and head to trickortreat.plarium.com, also linked in the description. Spin the wheel and get your prize, a great event that runs between now and the 5th of November, but only new players can win a prize.
There's never been a better time to sign up and get started with Raid. Just use the DK Rises promo code and level your new strongest champion all the way to level 50. If you've never played the game, then click my link in the description or scan the QR code over there and you'll get unique bonuses worth $30. It's a free epic champion, wreck to draft, 200,000 silver, 1 energy refill and 1 XP boost and an ancient shard. All that treasure is waiting for you right here. Currently 85% off, we've got Hotshot Racing. Now, many of you might not know that when this released, we had a full review of it and we enjoyed it, but it had quite heavy rubber banding. Now they have worked on that since launch, it's had a few big patches, and if you play in the hard difficulty mode, in my personal opinion, it plays much better. I didn't realise there was a physical of this out, but there is. And if you're an arcade racing fan, you could do far worse than, what, £2.39? You couldn't even get a Tesco meal deal for that, especially not now that they've put the price up. Due to the issues in the world, which isn't a laughing matter, but I do hope you get prawn cocktail crisps when you do get your meal deal, because those are the best crisps. It's official. Now with that said, this one's on sale until October the 28th. It is its cheapest ever price, and it has a measly 3.3 gigabyte download. The absolutely sublime Alien Isolation is for everyone. You don't have to be someone that doesn't like horror games, because you know I don't like horror games at all, but this is just so well done. Now it does drag on a bit by the end, it's about 30 hours long. But for £9.99, it's a first-person survival horror adventure that doesn't just feature the xenomorph, it also has androids, and I think they're actually more scary than the alien itself. You play as a relative of Ripley, and it also includes The Last Survivor, the DLC. Now this one features gyroscopic aiming, HD rumble, and all the things that I am always banging on about. The biggest issue for me is its 17.7GB download size, which my backlog angrily refuses to install. This one's on sale until October the 31st. While I promise this list isn't going to be filled with horror games, because I personally am not too fussed about Halloween, I do have to mention Amnesia Collection, which is a game that Glen reviewed, or a collection of games that Glen reviewed, and he enjoyed it, but my goodness. At 90% off, just £2.52, that is more than a bargain. You'd be lucky to get yourself a Greg's donut and a cup of coffee for that, and I honestly think this might taste better. Now, it is a little bit switchy in terms of its visuals, but the soundtrack is outstanding. This is terrifying. All sorts of weird noises going off, and working your way through The Dark Descent, A Machine for Pigs, and Justine, the 3 Amnesia titles, is going to take you a good old chunky amount of time. Now, that sale is on until November the 3rd, and is just 5.3GB to download. We've actually mentioned this one quite a lot recently. It's Death Road to Canada. It's currently 60% off, taking it down to just £4.79. And although I know the word roguelite might put many people off, it's one of the best co-op games we've played in a long time. You can join 1, 2, 3 or 4 of you together and go out on these runs where you're trying to get to Canada, obviously, but it can change so drastically each time you go on a run. You'll be riding along in your car, you'll have a few almost choose your own adventure style choices as to where you go next, but you go on runs to abandoned buildings and houses, trying to collect up all gear, fuel for your car, etc, etc. But needless to say, things go horribly wrong and you end up running through a military base, only to stop for a brief moment and tell Glen why you don't understand how in zombie films they always get cornered and die, and just at that moment zombies flood in from both doors and you die. So yeah, very good game, enjoyed it a lot. And there is also a dog in there that you can teach how to drive your car, so if that's not winning, I don't know what is. That one is on sale until November the 1st. I reviewed Gamedec not too long ago, but they've just released Gamedec the Definitive Edition, which includes some extra content, and then they've slashed the price so that it's cheaper than the first game. It's £13.49, so it's half price, and these are very cool games. So it's a top-down isometric adventure that basically sees you as like a virtual reality detective. Sometimes people get stuck in their games and you have to go in, and it means that each case has a very different aesthetic. So one will be like Wild West, one will be feudal Japan, and there are lots of different ways to solve the cases and choices to make. You can genuinely change the outcomes of stories. When I very first played, for the first half hour, I managed to go and move on to a completely different level than I'd done the second time around. And also someone died that didn't die the second time I played. And that was all within the space of about 30-40 minutes. Now it does have its flaws, it's not perfect. Some of the writing's a bit janky, but $13.49 with some extra content and a new story mission, yes please. That one's on sale until November the 6th, which takes us over to VIGIL The Longest Night, which I've mentioned a couple of times now, but it's a Metroidvania again, but it's an action-based one with some decent platforming thrown in and a nice little storyline. There are only 4 types of weapons, and while that might sound a bit too few, each of them has a skill tree and it essentially creates a different type of playstyle. There are some lovely little boss fights in here, some brutal battles, and it has a real standout soundtrack. Now, it's not completely bug-free. At launch it was a disaster. I was playing for review and everyone's head suddenly disappeared, which is never a good thing, and I kind of left it for a while and have come back and it's received a number of patches, and it's at least an experience that I'd now recommend is worth your time and essentially money. It does have some Lovecraftian themes in there as well, and I guess some horror undertones to the story writing. That one's on sale until October the 30th, it's 40% off. Because I am ancient, I absolutely loved Call of Juarez, the original release on PC, and Gunslinger I was reasonably impressed with. Now it's 90% off, taking it down to £1.79. You can't get a pick and mix for that these days, certainly not 100 grams, that's for sure, and it does have a physical release. Now it's only 2.6 gigabytes to download, and it tells a very cool tale, essentially of a gunslinger who is recounting the tales of his life in a very hyperbolic fashion. But it uses some really nice visual effects as well, this one. I enjoyed it, and the fact that they'd included gyroscopic controls and HD rumble, whatever that is. HD rumble really could be used better, couldn't it? Like, do you remember that first game? What was it? It wasn't Snipper Clips or something, where you could literally feel the amount of things were shaking in your hand. But since then, I mean, what have we had? Not a lot. I mean, I'm not surprised. It's classic, like, gimmick 101, but it is a shame it's not used better. What is the best HD rumble game that you've played on Switch? That would be a nice little discussion point. I'd like to know, because maybe I've missed out on some that are actually decent. Another really fun game to play through in co-op is Resident Evil 5. It's currently £7.99, which is 50% off, and I know it has its issues. It has some slightly iffy depictions of certain cultures, but as far as just being a fun game to play with a friend, this is right up there. Now, it also includes the DLC Lost in Nightmares and Desperate Escape. They added in the versus mode, as if anyone's going to be online. But yeah, local co-op on this is great fun, and it's funny because it's actually aged better than when it first came out. There were quite a few people that were upset. You know, it took Resident Evil and it just sprinkled a ton of action in and essentially took away all the fear and everything that makes Resident Evil. But it's still a fun game in its own right, and I think it's worth about £7, and that's until November the 16th. And I should imagine it'll be, you know, you could probably get Resident Evil 6 and a lot of the other Capcom games on sale as well, if you're interested in those. Now, the hidden gem for the week is actually US region only, so apologies for that, and probably America, Mexico, and maybe South America as well. But it's Eldest Souls, which is 60% off. This one's like a hybrid. It's almost a boss rush in some ways, but in others it's a Souls game, and then I don't know what else you would call it really. There are some really tricky boss fights, and they're very well designed. You've got different abilities, you can add in abilities to your character, and that combat was just so slick, and it's such nice combat. And it has a really interesting mechanic whereby by doing damage, that's what then enables you to heal yourself. So there's this constant risk and reward and like ebb and flow between attacking and defending, rather than simply having you run off into the corner and chug a flask of Estus. It's nice, and I enjoyed it. I thought it stood on its own merits, and being able to customize your combat style, yeah, it worked well for me. Now, you're looking at around about 6 to 10 hours depending on your skill level. Obviously, if you're a complete beast, you could fly through it, but I think it's worth it if you're in those US regions. Now, the game that I bought this week on sale so that you don't have to is Alan Wake Remastered. And I know many of us were able to find it in Mexico for slightly cheaper than the average, about £2. But if you weren't, then I do not recommend currently picking it up for £19.99 at 20% off, solely because in docked it is a disaster. Now, in handheld, in fairness, it's actually not too bad. And when I say not too bad, I mean, it's not going to cause you physical harm, but it still looks like you've put Vaseline into each eyeball, but it actually runs okay. And to be honest, I've actually worked my way through half the game already and I'm having a blast, but I would not recommend picking it up in its current state. Now, as you know, we do run an all patched up series, so I will be revisiting it. But if you're a fan of like adventure, thriller, action games, it's actually quite cool. There's a mechanic where you shine the torch on the enemies, and then eventually that kind of breaks their darkness and you can kill them with a gun, and it essentially sees you moving from light source to light source with this narrative going on the whole time, because Alan himself is an author who's misplaced his wife. Oh man. Yeah, not bad, but I wouldn't pick it up at the moment, even though it is on a nice, well, a little chunky 20% discount. Now, that is it for this week. There's so many games that I'm enjoying at the moment. Please let me know in the comments what you've been playing. Thanks to our patrons who continue to support us each and every month, and to our new channel members as well, and to all of you that use our 10% discount code, which saves you a bit of cash and we get a tiny little kickback from Nintendo. All the details of everything, including the little joycons we use and all that fluff are in the description. And if you do choose to click the raid link, it gives us a little, well, I guess it's like saying nice one to the people that have sponsored us, and shows a bit of engagement. Is that how they look at things these days? I don't know. All the links to that in the top pin comment. For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya. Oh, he's mixed it up. He's mixed it up.